Hi everyone, welcome to my North Knit Corner. My name is Anne and I come to you from the south of Norway. Here I live with my husband and our 3 boys. Yeah, welcome. Normally I have a knitting podcast here, but today I really wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that I made in 2024. I have really been enjoying other podcasters, everything I knit videos, and I was thinking about doing that too. I actually wrote up a lot of notes for it, but I knitted a lot last year and it would take me so much time, and I think maybe it wouldn't be too much fun for you guys either to watch. So instead I have found some of my favorite makes of 2024 that I want to share with you today. Some of them I really enjoyed knitting, some of them I enjoyed the finished garment. That is not always connected, but yeah, I've chosen a few for you, and I hope that you have time to sit down and maybe you will get a little bit inspired. That is at least what I'm hoping. So just I have my iPad right here with my Ravelry page. So I will be looking at the different things here just to see the garment as I talk about it, and of course I will show you me wearing them here. I won't go into detail about every garment because that would take a long time, and I've already talked in length about them in my podcast episodes, but I will link to my Ravelry page where you can find all of them, have project pages there, and there will be information about yarn and sizes and needles and all of that. So let's just start with the sweaters. And the first one I want to talk about is the Sally sweater. This is a pattern from Sanne Bjerregaard. It's a free pattern on Filcolana's pages. And I have been eyeing this pattern for quite a while, a couple of years actually. I had a friend that made it and it was so beautiful, and I just really wanted this because it's a blouse and it looks very, I don't know, perfect for those occasions that you need to dress up a little bit but not too much. And I did go for a black Sally sweater because that was something missing in my wardrobe, something black that I could use for different occasions where I need to wear black. Yeah, and that actually happens a few times. So I knitted it in 1 strand of Drops alpaca and 1 strand of Drops kid silk together. It's supposed to be only knitted in mohair, I believe, but I decided to have a strand of alpaca as well to make it a little bit, I don't know, sturdy, not maybe sturdy, but not as blousy or flowy, or yeah. And I'm very happy with that. The Sally has a beautiful lace on the collar and it has buttons in the back. So I chose some pearls, which I thought was very nice with the black, and the rest is just stockinette, and it has this balloon sleeves. And since you start by increasing a lot in the beginning, it makes it a really it has a lot of fabric in the top that bunches together, and I think that looks very nice. Yeah, it's a sweater that I haven't used a lot yet, but when did I finish it? At the end of September last year. But I've used it a couple of times where I've needed a black sweater. And yeah, I really like that I have this in my wardrobe because it's so, yeah, perfect for those times that I need a black, simple but nice sweater. The next sweater I want to talk about, that's really one of my favorites, is the one I'm wearing. This is the Cassini sweater by Karianne Schirmer. She's called Mamma Laget on Instagram. Yeah. This was actually knit out of yarn that I frogged. I made a vlog about it, which I can link up here. It was an Anchors sweater by Petite Knit that I had knitted in this hand-dyed yarn from Hvit Lamme, which is this pink sparkly yarn. It has stellina in it. I didn't like that sweater. It was too big for me, and it was, yeah, I never used the Anchor sweater that I knit with this yarn, so I decided to unravel it. So that what I did on my birthday last year. I started to rip it out, I frogged it, and I made this Cassini sweater. And I am so much more happy with this sweater. I've used it so much, and it was also a very fun knit. I really loved to knit this lace, and it's also lace on the sleeves, and I think it is so feminine and, yeah, just a very beautiful sweater, which I love. I also hold this hand-dyed sock yarn together with a strand of Isagar Alpaca 1, which was the first time I used that yarn, and I really enjoyed it. It's a great substitution if there's supposed to be some mohair strand in your knit. Then Alpaca 1 from Isagar is a great strand to use if you don't want to have it as fluffy. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the fabric in this sweater as well, and it really has held up very nicely. Sock yarn often peels a lot, I think, but this hasn't. I can't see any bubbles on this sweater, so it has held up really nicely, and I think maybe the alpaca is helping with that. I knitted this in the size 3. Yeah, and I can put my bust circumference in the notes below if you're interested in the size and the fit on me and how that fits with my measurement. Next sweater I want to talk about is the Lace and Fade Boxy by Joji Locatelli. I had knit this previously, I think in 2023, but I wasn't happy with how it was looking. It was too big for me. So that's not true. I loved how it looked. I love the yarns I'd used, but it was just too big for me. And I did knit the size 1, so I didn't have any options to go down in size. And I already knit with small needles. Yeah. So I couldn't go down on the needles either. So I decided to, I did give that sweater away, or I did a swap. I got a knitting bag and I gave away my sweater in return. And I decided to knit the Lace and Fade Boxy again because I really liked the knitting of it, and I love the project finished garment as well, just not, it was just a little bit too big. So I knitted again, but what I did, I took away 20 stitches. I just did some calculations, a little bit of math I tried with my small amount of math skills. Took away 20 stitches and knit it, and it turned out great. I really love my Lace and Fade Boxy now. It fits me perfectly. just how I want it, not too much ease. The other one was just too big, but this one is perfect, just as I wanted it. The yarns I used was from different hand dyers, Norwegian hand dyers. So it was from Unique Garn, from Garnbutikken Fortuna, and from Lykkegarn and Mrs. Fox Yarn. So 4 different talented hand dyers I've used the yarn from in this sweater, so that is also kind of special, I think. So as I said, I knit the size 1, but I did omit 20 stitches. Then it's the Celeste sweater by Petite Knit. That was, I really love that pattern because it's so much fun to knit. And I think that Celeste sweater would be beautiful in whatever color you choose. I've seen so many different versions and I think all of them look great. So I knit one for me last year and I knitted one for my husband. My husband loves his sweater as well, which makes me so happy. So it was not only the knitting, because that was so much fun, but also I love the finished garment very much. It fits me perfect, and yeah, it's just such a warm and cozy sweater. It's knitted in Sandnes Per Gynt, which is a yarn that I really, really love. It's 100% wool. It's kind of rustic, but I don't mind that at all. And it's just the perfect yarn for color work. Yeah, it just makes it look so even and nice, even though I am not a very even knitter when it comes to color work. Getting there. Been knitting a lot of color work now, and yeah, it's getting better, slowly but steadily. But yeah, I'm always happy when the yarn can help me a little bit out, and the Per Gynt yarn is, I highly recommend it for color work. I had a lot of mohair scraps that I really wanted to use up, and I had been thinking about doing the sweater that many people used as a leftover mohair sweater. It's a sweater by Petite Knit, and I can't for the life of me remember what it's called. But I decided that I wanted to use my scrap for another sweater, just because I wanted to knit something else than everyone else with scraps. And I really wanted to knit the Dartmoor sweater by Cadery. I really, really love the construction of that sweater, and I wanted to knit it, so I decided to buy some drop snor in light gray to hold together with a lot of mohair scraps. So I did end up knitting the small size because I didn't have the gauge correctly, but I did my best. And I absolutely love how that sweater turned out. It was a lot of fun to knit because I had to think a little bit about the mohair placement with the colors and everything. And yeah, I'm mostly happy how it turned out. It is a little part of the sweater that has like a was so light that you get a kind of a stripe, but I don't care. I think it's a fun sweater, and I'm really happy that I was able to use the Dartmoor pattern for scraps. That was a lot of fun. So, and it's such a cozy and nice sweater. It's a little bit wide in the neck. That's the only thing I'm not happy with. It's just a little bit too, yeah, I wanted it closer, but closer to the neck, but it's not a big deal. I still love the sweater a lot, and I hope I can knit this sweater again, not with scraps, but with the yarn bought for that purpose. But we'll see. I have so many sweaters in my wardrobe, so knitting another one of the same pattern is, yeah, not necessary. But I really loved that sweater construction. it was so much fun to knit, and I would really love maybe a green one, or yeah. We'll see. We'll see. The last sweater that I have written on my list is the Nordic Noel sweater by Annie Juti Knits. I knitted that in November, maybe October and November, because if you've been here before, you know I have knitted 2 of the Nordic Noel. Both of them was for me. The first one I was going to knit for myself, but it felted and shrunk when I was washing it, so it ended up with my son. So then I knitted another one, and actually it just turned out perfect, because my son has used his sweater so much in December, and I actually love the second sweater even more than the first one, because even though the colors I've chose was pretty similar, the green was a little bit more green, and the other sweater had a more petrol color, but this one really had green, and I'm so happy with how it turned out. I knitted the first one in Drop Stacy, and that is non-superwash merino yarn, and yeah, it didn't go well when I washed it, but that's why I didn't dare to knit another one in that sweater, in that yarn. So I chose the Drops Charisma, and I really like that sweater. I didn't think I would like to knit in the Drops Charisma because of previous experience, but I actually did. Yeah, this time I actually enjoyed it. Maybe because of the pattern, because it's such a fun pattern to knit. The color work is a lot of fun, and yeah, it goes by really fast. It's knit up in DK weight, so it went by fast. So I knit those 2 sweaters in just under a few weeks because I really wanted that sweater for Christmas, and I made it happen in the end. So if you want a Christmas sweater for this year, I highly recommend the Nordic Noel. It's what I really like about it as well is that it's not too, it's very Christmassy, but it's not like the ugly Christmas sweater vibe that I get anyway, and at least not with the colors that I've chosen. So I think it looks great, and it was yeah, great fun to wear in December, and I got a lot of compliments on it as well. So you know that makes a knitter's heart very happy when people compliment your knitting and your sweaters. Yeah. I just want to quickly mention another sweater. That was a sweater that I knitted for a friend of mine, but I just I'm so proud of myself for this sweater. I knitted the Porcelain sweater by Lene Holme Samse for my friend in Sannes Pergynt and Sannes Silk Mohair. And yeah, I was a little bit intimidated because you have to knit the colorwork flat if you don't want to stick it. So, and I didn't want to stick it. Maybe now I would stick it because I have been on a little course with a wonderful lady, and she showed me how to stick. So maybe now I would dare to do that. But then I hadn't been on that little course, so yeah, I had to knit the colorwork flat. But then I got a tip about knitting backwards, so then you can knit. Yeah, you'd never have to knit purlwise or on the purl side. You always knit with the front. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it really. But I've talked about it a lot in that episode where I talk about the Porcelain sweater. And that was a trick that I, was turned out so well. it's really, took a lot of time to knit backwards, but it was worth it because knitting colorwork on the purl side or on the wrong side, I don't know if that would turn out so good. So yeah, I'm really proud of that sweater, and I know my friend is wearing it a lot, and she's really happy with it. And of course I want one for myself, but we'll see. There's so many things that I want to knit, so yeah, my list is so long. Okay, I have a few summer garments as well, if you're up for it. I have timestamps on the episode, so please feel free to skip the things that you're not interested in. The first one I want to talk about is the Tonight's Top by Lily Kate France, or Lily Kate Makes on YouTube and Instagram. Previously, I've knitted her brightest tee. I've knitted several of them. I knitted one last year as well, and I love that pattern so much. And probably gonna knit it again because it's such a great, easy pattern, and it's so wearable. And I really like the look of her Tonight top, and to switch it up a bit and not knit more brightest tee, then I wanted to knit the Tonight top instead. And I knitted one in a hand-dyed yarn from Garn Boutique in Fortuna. I knitted the size 3, and I loved it so much. The knitting is a lot of fun too, and her constructions are always really fun. And the double knitted edging on the sweater on the top took a lot of time, but it's so worth it. It looks so polished. And yeah, so that was something that wasn't too great to knit, but it turned out really nicely and looked so good. And I have used that Tonight top so much, and I decided to knit myself another one, this time in Filcolana Amatha in the color black, in the same size. No, not in the same size. I decided to go for the size 2 on the black one because I wanted a one that was a little bit more tight fitting than the other one. But I love them both equally, and I have gotten a lot of use of both of them, and got a lot of use out of both of them. And it's a pattern that I really recommend, and I've used it a lot under cardigans. Yeah, it's such a great layering piece, so highly recommend it. I knitted the Viginia top by Joji Locatelli. It wasn't my most enjoyable knit, I have to admit. It is a beautiful top, or a vest. I think about it as a vest more than a top. It has a beautiful lace on it, but it was I think I wasn't in the right headspace when I knitted it, and I did struggle a lot with it, and it felt like it took forever. I knitted it in a beautiful yarn from Through the Wardrobe yarn called Lyra's Oxford, 100% merino. I knitted the size 1, yeah, and it wasn't fun at all. But I really think it's such a beautiful top, and I'm so happy to have it in my wardrobe now. And I guess you can use it as a summer top as well. I have seen pictures of Joji wearing it just as a summer garment, but I have been wearing it with white shirt under it, or a white blouse or something like that, and I think it's such a beautiful piece. I am so proud of it that I managed to work through it, even though I kind of wanted to give up. But I think it's just the yarn and the lace and all of the things together just made it really a piece that's on this favorite list from last year. I knitted the Talulah tee from Herb Garden Knitwear, Hannah Lubin. This is also one that I struggle a lot with. Also, again, I think because of the headspace I was in at the time, I have I struggle with fatigue, and my head is not always screwed on, right? So I do have times that easy things get really difficult and hard. So the pattern I know from Hannah is wonderful. All of our patterns are. All of the ones I have knit is great. But this one I really had to rip back so many times because I did many mistakes with it. And yeah, I don't remember how many times I had to frog back on this or rip back, but it was a few times. But I'm happy I persevered because it's a great summer tee. I've knitted this too in Through the Wardrobe yarn in a 50% wool, 50% silk blend, which is just amazing. It's so wonderful to have on the skin, and it looks great, and I love the color, which is called Shall We Promenade, and it's just perfect summer top for the Norwegian summer. You know, we don't get the warmest of summers here, so it's just yeah, it's great, and I had to have it on my list today. Then the next one is one that I knitted 2 of last year because I enjoyed the knitting process so much. It's the Amatha top from Karianne Schirmer, the same designer who designed this one. The first one I knitted was knitted in this really green yarn with stellina in it called Apple Blossom from Mrs. Fox Yarn. And even though I thought that would be too much for me with the really green sparkling yarn, I actually love it so much. And like I said, it has lace on the shoulders, and it was just so much fun to knit that lace. And yeah, it just fits me so nice. I knit the size 3 on both of these Amatha tops that I have knitted. So since I love the first one so much, when I was in Bergen last year on the knitting festival, I bought yarn for a second one. This time I bought 2 different skeins from Hettestrikk. So 2 different hand-dyed colorways from her. The one is called Skyfri Spettet. The other one is called Spettet Eir. Both of them was kind of similar, and she only had single skeins left when I came there. She sold so much, and I am so happy for her. But there were always only single skeins left, so I decided to just alternate those 2 yarns, and I think it turned out really nicely. And yeah, like I said, I think the knitting process of it was a lot of fun, and I think they are very nice to wear as well. That was all of the summer garments I have on my list. But then I knitted a cardigan that I want to talk about, and it's the Eva cardigan by Petite Knit. I knitted 2 of that cardigan last year because I knitted one in Drops Charisma in a color that was this old pink, I think. And I bought that yarn for another cardigan that I was going to knit, and the yarn had been in my stash for several years, and I had fell out of love of that color, so I didn't really wanted anything in that color anymore, but I wanted to knit it out of my stash, and I wanted to knit the Eva cardigan, so I decided to use it for that, which I did. But I decided to sell that cardigan because I didn't like the color, as I said, so I did. And I bought yarn for a new one. This time I bought Hillesvåg Tinde because I was at the Hillesvåg mill last year and it was so much fun to be there, see how they produce the yarn in the mill, and yeah, so I bought the yarn when I was at the mill in a beautiful blue color, which I love so much. So I knitted another Eva cardigan, and I have really gotten to use that cardigan so much. I often use it together with one of the Tonight tops that I talked about earlier, and it's just so perfect. The yarn is really rustic, so if you're sensitive to itching or sensitive to wool, maybe that's not the yarn for you. But otherwise, I highly recommend the Hillesvåg Tinde yarn. It was wonderful to knit with, and I love the finished garment so much. I know I say love a lot this episode, but my word range in English isn't the greatest, so I hope you can forgive me. But I do really love all of the things on this list. That's what I wanted to talk about them today. The last thing of my favorite list from 2024 is the Mamba dress by Ull Knitwear. This was a labor of love, but and it took some time to knit. I don't know, maybe I can see how long I used. Yeah, so I started in January and I was finished with it at the end of March last year. It's a beautiful dress with a high neck and or a high collar, and it's a lot of cables, and it's just so beautiful. I knitted it in drops lima. It's supposed to be knitted with a strand of mohair and a fingering weight. Is that right? Let me check. It's supposed to be knit with a fingering and a light fingering. So, yeah. So a DK weight together. I chose to knit with only one strand, and I chose the drops lima. Now, if that was a smart choice, I don't know. I wanted to make it affordable because I wasn't sure with this if this would be something that I would love to wear. So I decided to go for something that didn't cost a lot and was only one strand of yarn. So the drops lima it was. I knitted the size 1 because I didn't get gauge. So yeah, that was what I had to knit, and the size is perfect for me, and I think it looks so beautiful. I haven't used it a lot, but I still have it on my list because I think it looks so good. I'm so proud of it, and the reason I haven't used it so much is just because it's so warm. It's incredibly warm with this drops lima yarn. So yeah, and with the high collar, and yeah, it's like a big warm blanket, which is wonderful, but not very wearable for me. It is if I was outside all the time, but when you are inside and we have heating on, it's just too warm. But I try to use it now and again. But it is a favorite anyway, because yeah, it looks great. I wish maybe I would have knitted it in one strand of fingering and one strand of mohair. Maybe I would have get some more use out of it that way. I don't know. Maybe in the future. Maybe. But it is a beautiful dress, and yeah, would love to have another one, but I don't need it. I really don't. Anyway, that was all of my favorites from last year. I just want to say thank you so much if you stayed through the whole list. That is highly appreciated. I really appreciate all of you for your support through last year, and thank you for still being here and for still supporting me and cheering me on. And I really hope I can do the same for you, that I can be a source of inspiration. Maybe that's a hope I have anyway. Thank you again for being here. I hope you have a good start to your year, and I'm excited to see what people are knitting in 2025. So if you have some plans or some thoughts about what you're going to knit this year, please tell me in the comments. I love to be inspired by all of you guys. So take care, and I'll see you again soon.